Up next, a vehicle fleeing from police leads to a crash in Fargo. And a $30,000 reward has now been set for information on the whereabouts of Brian Laundrie, the person of interest in the Gabby Petito case. Plus, a Minnesota runner found inspiration in written prayers as she participated in this year's Fargo Marathon. Valley News Live at 6 starts now.
This is Valley News Live at 6.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Tonight, at least 2 people are hurt after a vehicle fled from police, which led to a crash in Fargo. Fargo PD says shortly after 2:15 this morning, an officer attempted to pull over a silver Jeep in the 1100 block of 2nd Avenue North. The driver of the vehicle then sped off, fleeing from the officer. Law enforcement says a few minutes later, officers were called to the 500 block of South University Drive for a report of a crash involving a Jeep. The driver of the vehicle fled the scene before police arrived. 2 passengers were pulled from the SUV and were transported to a local hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. Several charges, including fleeing in a motor vehicle and reckless endangerment, is being recommended to the state's attorney. And 2 people were rushed to the hospital following a wrong-way crash along a Minnesota highway. The Minnesota State Patrol says a 23-year-old man from Mississippi was driving his Mustang down the wrong lane of Highway 11 near Roseau last night. The crash report says the man hit an SUV driving in the correct lane, causing the Mustang to go into a ditch. The driver of the other vehicle, a 25-year-old woman, was taken to a hospital but is expected to be okay. The driver of the Mustang was also taken to the hospital and was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Authorities say alcohol is believed to be a part of the crash. Now, fall can definitely be felt in the air. Summer is here now with a look at what we can expect in the forecast. Hey, Summer.
Hi, Nishay. We gotta love those cool, crisp mornings. I love to take my fall flavored coffee outside, but we did warm up nicely throughout our afternoon. The sun is shining bright. We are seeing clear skies for most across the valley. Now, here's a look at our high temperatures today. Feels a little bit more fall-like for northwestern Minnesota with 68 degrees in Park Rapids and Wadena, 69 in Bemidji, 79 in Grand Forks, 77 today in Fargo and in Gwinner. But we did have some areas in the 80s, 81 degrees in Carrington, Harvey, Rolla, and Cavalier up in the Northern Valley as well. So some were feeling the sizzle on a fall day. Right now, we're at 76 in Fargo, 78 Grand Forks, 76 Jamestown, 65 Bemidji, 70 Fergus Falls, and 77 in Devil's Lake. But Nishay, a warm-up is on the way. I'll let you know how long it sticks around coming up in just a bit.
Well, I'm sure everybody will love a warm-up. All right. Thank you so much, Summer. A suicide car bomb killed at least 8 people today in the Somali capital near the president's palace. An al-Qaeda-linked group said it was behind the attack, which targeted a convoy going into the palace. A police spokesperson said casualties could be higher since some of the dead and wounded had been taken away by their relatives. Also, a government spokesperson said among those killed was an advisor of women and human rights affairs. It's believed the group wants to overthrow the government and impose its own strict interpretation of Islamic law. And $30,000 is up for grabs in the Gabby Petito case. It's being offered for information on the whereabouts of Brian Laundrie. The 23-year-old's girlfriend was found dead on September 19th. Laundrie's parents told police he was missing a few days before her body was found. A source close to the family says Laundrie left home on September 14th, leaving his cell phone and wallet behind. The city of Minneapolis continues to settle worker compensation claims for employees who have left after the George Floyd's murder. Many of those claims were brought on by former police officers. 21 payouts were approved on Friday, and that's just a third of them so far this year. Hundreds of officers and firefighters left their respective departments and filed disability claims citing PTSD. One of the payouts was for $190,000, and that went to a 8-year veteran officer who testified in the Derek Chauvin trial.
These officers did not choose to go out on disability. They literally had no choice, and from a mental health standpoint, they could not continue.
Ron Muser, the attorney representing many of the officers, expects the number to grow, saying his office alone has settled or is waiting on approval for 65 and has another 130 plus that will go through the same process. Muser also believes the settlement total will end up being about $35 million. And a patriot group in Detroit Lakes hosted its third Freedom from Tyranny rally at Veterans Park. People lined up carrying flags and holding signs to support their cause. Drivers also passed by honking to show their support. Many of the signs were a stand against vaccine mandates.
I think there's been veterans who are vaccine damaged in 1976, in 1979, in 1994 by the anthrax vaccine. These people should have a choice without being punished or permanently banned from working in their career field.
Organizers say they are hoping to have another rally like this in the future. 3 studies from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show that masking in schools cuts down on the spread of COVID-19. One study in 2 different Arizona counties shows that coronavirus outbreaks were almost 4 times more common in schools that didn't have a masking mandate than those that had one. Another study showed case rates in children and teens increased more in counties where the public schools had no mask mandate. The third study counted more than 1,800 coronavirus-related school closures through mid-September. A runner from Minnesota found a unique way to help give her inspiration as she ran the Fargo Marathon. She filled her arm with written prayers dedicated to people she has a special connection with. Joni Schwartz gave a prayer for each mile of the race, with the last one being dedicated to Christy Johnson, a Valley News Live employee who passed away earlier this year from cancer. Schwartz says Johnson always had a desire to run the full course.
I had gone to talk with her in the hospital before she passed away, and I was bantering back and forth. Should I do the half? Should I do the full? And then she passed away on July 6th. And I was like, nope, July 7th, I changed my registration and said, I'm going to do the full, and I'm going to do it for Christy.
Now, this was the first time Schwartz ran in the Fargo Marathon. Teams from around the region made their way to Fargo to compete in the Battle of the Meats at the 10th Annual North Dakota Barbecue Championship. 27 teams tackled 4 different categories, including for best ribs, chicken, pork, and brisket. This time around, the public was welcomed back to be a part of the festivities. Last year's grand champions, Beer Belly Barbecue, all the way from Montana, say they love the community part of these competitions.
One of the main reasons that we travel around and do barbecue is just the family aspect, the community aspect, and so the fact that things are open back up now and people can come and hang out and they can try all of the good food, it's just really exciting. We love to have people around. So.
Well, this year's results are in, and for a second year in a row, Beer Belly Barbecue took the grand championship. Congratulations to them. Later on Valley News Live at 6. U.S. health officials may have given the okay for everyone to get a booster shot, but they say this still won't bring an end to the pandemic.
And enjoy a beautiful evening tonight here in Fargo. Temperatures will be falling into the 60s, but overall very comfortable, not quite as cool and crisp overnight with the help of a little bit of cloud cover. And we don't lose the wind completely, but it will diminish as we head through your evening. Hour by hour details coming up.